Now, it's well known that the ailing Cornish economy has had a great deal of money under European rules, £800 million and counting. To a lesser extent, the same is true of Devon and Somerset. But is that an argument for staying in the EU? Have these areas benefited? And if so, will that influence opinion at the referendum? Our business correspondent Neil Gallacher reports from Cornwall.
When the weather's like this, there's nowhere better. But we all know the beauty here hides poverty. Cornwall gets a lot of regional grant aid from the EU. With that in mind, how might Cornwall view this referendum? First, an economics lesson. The UK has to give Europe money each year to be part of the EU. Now, the cost varies annually, but it's somewhere around about 18 to 20 billion pounds. That's the money that we give to the EU. Now, about half of this money goes to other countries in the form of regional aid, or some of it's just lost in the machinery. We never see this money again. But the other half comes back from Europe to the UK. And that's where it gets interesting from a Cornish point of view, because the rules say that a disproportionately generous slice of this money has to go to Cornwall under European regional aid policy. And yet Cornwall has a reputation for rather fierce Euroscepticism.
Well, the way I look at it, if it was any good, the Americans would be in it, the Russians and the Chinese would be in it. If they aren't in it, it can't be much good. I'll probably vote for out.
Get out of the EU.
I was always for coming out, but I'm not sure now, so I'm going to think about it a little bit more nearer the time.
I'll probably vote to stay in, but with, like everyone, with some reservations, but overall I think it's better in than out.
What about all of the millions that a place like Cornwall has had from Europe?
Yeah, and then £55 million a day, is it, we're paying in?
So to paraphrase John Cleese, what has the EU done for us?
Here we are at the university, that's one example. Super fast broadband is an example. A lot of work on transport, but perhaps most importantly, something like 150,000 people in Cornwall have had assistance and training to try and up their skills level. There are 30,000 new jobs, and these aren't in places like this. This is in lots and lots of small businesses.
But strikingly, all these schemes and others have repeatedly failed to bring the local economy into line with the European average. The level of wealth per head in Cornwall has on the whole refused to budge. Kevin Bennett's has built up his business without direct grant help, and he's deeply sceptical.
Inefficiency or whatever, call it what you like. The sums aren't adding up. Something is going on somewhere that we are not getting the benefit that the Continentals are getting in their magnificent roads, ports, harbours, just general infrastructure. We've been waiting 35 years for 3 miles of dual carriageway across Bodmin Moor, and it's being trumpeted as a triumph that we've had to contribute to it ourselves to get it. I think it's a disgrace.
It is, of course, possible that had it not been for all those EU millions, Cornwall's economy might have sunk beneath the waves altogether in the financial crisis. No one can really say. Neil Gallacher, BBC Spotlight, Pentewan Sands.